Welcome to the Market and Main podcast. I'm Mike Peters, your host today, and today's guest is Mike. What's your last name?
Looby, like Scooby.
Oh, that's right. Mike Looby. He's a financial investor, a farm owner, and I don't know how to say it, like a hero of everyone when it comes to weight loss. Welcome to the show, Mike.
Thanks for having me, Mike.
So, and that brings me absolutely to my first point because, I met you like you are right now.
Yes.
But, I saw pictures and, your whole journey there on Instagram. So tell me and everyone else, your journey that just recently began as far as I heard that, right?
It is so funny. Sometimes I do things in my workout that people are like, why are you doing that? Like I'll run down Market Street and people are like, why are you running backwards? Well, this is a new body. I feel like I'm on a movie and it's like, well, let's see what this thing can do.
Yeah.
And so the journey started, I've been overweight since I was 6. Right?
Okay.
So I don't know. I've been overweight longer than I've been this size.
Okay.
And 2019, I was just so tired. I was tired all the time, like actual tired. Felt like I was dying every night. I'd go to bed with my wife and I'm like, man, she knows where all the paperwork is because I felt like many nights I felt like I wasn't going to wake up.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
So how heavy have you been?
My highest that I can remember is 320 pounds.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're a tall guy, but still, that's a lot of,
that was 30, I think that was 38% body fat.
Okay. Wow.
Which is not good.
No, that's not good.
Yeah.
That's not good. Losing weight is hard. I mean, especially if you get older,
Mm-hmm.
but I was always like, I was a chubby kid, like not fat, but chubby, there was a lot on everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like skinny, like for a long time, like really long time, I would say 20 years. And then, the moment I came over here because, my diet didn't change, but, what was in the diet changed because,
Yes.
there's different stuff in the food here in the United States than it is in Europe. So that for me, it's like I gained 45 pounds within 6 months, like after arrival. So I arrived December 2015 for good. And I think I met my wife in May and I was already having everything on. Like I had totally my clothes that I came over with.
Yeah.
None of this was fitting anymore. Nothing. So, but I've never been that overweight. It's like I can only imagine. And I had problems with like, I was a heavy smoker on top of that. Me walking up a flight of stairs was like, and that was the point where I was like, okay, I have to do one after another. Stop smoking first. Did that.
Yeah.
And then went into, losing some weight. I don't do it the right way, but I'm lighter than I was back then.
Yeah.
But like 300. And what's your weight now?
I'm going down. I think I'm at 216 or 215.
All right.
Well,
okay.
Based on how my clothes fit, which it's funny. When you lose weight, I can tell when I've gained 5 pounds. So I'm actually probably 214.
Okay. So that's, I've been heavier than that, like just a few weeks ago. In April, I was like at 218. I was like, damn, no, I can't do that anymore. So I'm down to like 190-ish now, 191, 191.
I want to get to 185.
Yeah,
I want to see how it feels.
I want to do 170 again. Like that's not even being there where I was when I came over here. But I'm also like now almost 10 years older. So that's like, that's it. It's tough, So
it is.
But like, I would be happy at 180. Like, that's the thing. Like when COVID hit, I was in Galveston in Texas, and I was 200 pounds. And I was like, I want to do something. So I was alone. My family was in West Virginia. I was down there for a job. I was like out on a concrete slab on a landfill. Like we did like a, like it was like an oil and gas project where we cleaned the methane that came out of the landfill and like put it in the grid. It was this one of those like renewable energy projects. And so I was outside all the time, sweating like crazy. You had to wear long pants, and I was like topping that with wearing a black t-shirt, right? So, and everyone was like, why are you doing that? I was like, because I want to sweat. Like, I don't sweat. I naturally don't sweat. Like, I never have like watery skin or anything. But on top of that, every Saturday I would like get up and take 2 hours or a little bit more than 2 hours and like power walk 2 miles, like
Okay.
on the beach promenade.
Mm-hmm.
And I got it down with diet and with was walking to 182, 183, 182.
Yeah.
So, and I felt great, But then I think I kept it there for 2 years, and then last winter, like Christmas, my son was visiting from Germany. We had like all the good food and a lot of
Yes.
beer, and well, ended up at 218 again. Like it was like almost 40 pounds more.
Yeah.
Where that was like, oh my god, I have to do something. And then now it's just like, just do not eat. So
It is really, man. So that time where I felt like I was dying, I said, I'm going to sign up for surgery. I don't care if anyone says anything. I'm tired of being fat.
right.
So this is 2019.
So for like the gastric bypass,
The gastric sleeve. I call it the banana sleeve.
because
Because your stomach is going to look like a banana. And I called my insurance, got approved for it. And then I went and did all the classes that you do, which usually takes 2.5 or 3 months. I did them all in 1 month.
that's like prepping you for what you
Yep.
can eat, what you can't eat
That's
afterwards, and stuff like that. If that is the right decision for you and all that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
Okay.
Preparing you for the after.
Uh-huh.
Well, preparing you for what it's going to be like, and then what the surgery is going to be like, and then what's recovery, and how to eat. Because sometimes people think it's the easy way out. It's actually very hard. Your life becomes very hard, at least the year or two after you have surgery.
Okay.
Because
And that's permanent, right?
it's permanent. Your stomach probably will stretch out again if you continue doing that.
Yeah.
And depending on what you eat, you can still eat a tiny amount and put on tons of fat.
Oh, really? Yeah.
But
Depends what you eat.
thank God for COVID though, because we came back. I did all the classes in January 2020.
Mhm.
We went to the Bahamas in February. Well, when we come back, my wife and I both get sick. We hear about this thing called COVID, but they had no tests.
Right.
So they said, well, you don't have the flu. So what's wrong? And I'm like, well, we must have this COVID thing. No one has a test. So they said, well, do this and you should feel good. Well, COVID also shut down all elective surgeries. I was supposed to have surgery in April. So they were done with that. And my wife already wasn't super excited about me going under the knife.
Mm-hmm.
And she told her mother, and her mother said, hey, try this one guy. He's really good. He does a lot of sports training. He trains Serena and Venus Williams. And I was like, whatever. Well, I said, if it doesn't work, I'll just go have the surgery afterwards anyway. But I looked at his Instagram page and I'm like, wow, this guy is helping people that are way bigger than me. And these people look like they're bodybuilders. And I said, okay, I'll give it a shot. 2 weeks in, I lost 10 pounds,
Oh, really?
which isn't uncommon because I've lost 20, 30 pounds. I've juiced before.
Mhm.
I've done like keto and all the things, right?
10 pounds in 2 weeks, that's a lot. Like I couldn't do
Yeah.
that.
But here's the thing. It was almost like I couldn't keep it on because now I had a system, right? And that plays back to systems, whether
Yeah.
it's in food or in business or whatever. I had a system now where I understood the why. You go to the store, here's a diet pill, here's a this, here's a Weight Watchers, but they never teach you how to do it for yourself.
No.
And that's the key. It's like understanding now when I go to a restaurant, I can guess what the values are.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know exactly
you-
how to adjust the rest of my day.
Yeah, you're just like counting calories.
No. So my nutritionist said, I hate calorie counting
Mhm.
because you can buy 100 calorie Oreos and eat 9 packs of that throughout the day. That's 900 calories, but it's all carbs,
Yeah.
right? Very little protein, which means your muscles are going to wilt away
Mhm.
and you'll become flabby and you're still going to get fat
Okay.
because your body can only
But it's
consume.
just sugar, right?
That's right.
So, I mean, I did the calorie counting, but I used an app, one of those like I don't know, my Fitness Pal or whatever,
Yes.
right? And it helped,
Mhm.
So, but I'm also like, and I admit that, I'm a heavy drinker, so I drink, I just cut down on the beer and drank those like hard seltzers because they had less calories and no carbs, or like just 2% carbs or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So, that's something where I'm like, okay, so I did all that, I lost all the weight while still like, drinking in the evening. I mean, that's like culturally speaking. I'm German, so we all drink.
Yeah.
Well, that's like part of like the European culture is very different when it comes to drinking than American ones.
Yeah.
So
I have never felt like I was a part of the American culture. So my family's Caribbean. My mother's Jamaican.
okay,
My father's Antiguan. My wife's from Barbados, and her father's from Haiti. Mother's from St. Lucia.
so you're like mojitos all day long. What?
Oh, listen, my father never drank because his father drank, and it ruined him. But what I notice is they don't drink. They drink like Heineken and Guinness,
Yeah.
and all these other things, and hard like liquors like rums.
Okay.
So I never really got into that because my father wasn't into it. However, I did love to eat, and Caribbean culture is heavy on starch.
Okay.
Heavy on starch. I mean, they're not heavy on protein because when you're in an island culture, unless it's fish,
It's fish, right? So okay.
because fish would be the abundance. Because how many people have a cow,
Right.
right? How many? But people have
You
goat.
can only have so many cows on an island, right?
That's
So-
right. And the parts of the goat that you're eating aren't heavy with meat, so it's really high and rich in starch.
Okay.
Starch and vegetables.
And
but-
that's like,
oh man, starches will blow you up.
yeah.
Starches will blow you up. So, man, and it was all my fault. It was just like fat and starch will destroy you.
All right. So, well, that's, that's a little bit different than like the Mediterranean, diet there. Where it's like a lot of vegetables and, there's still meat and stuff like that, but it's all super light.
Yeah.
But then they drink a ton of wine with it. Like, and no matter what country around the Mediterranean Sea,
Yeah.
that they're all heavy on red wine. They're like, yep,
Well, they grow grapes, so
yeah, right.
so you want to consume.
So
what
it's
you're,
like,
you're thinking.
it's like, okay, and then, Germans and, all the Central European, cultures, they're like heavy on beer, like really. Like Germans, Belgians, even the French people, some of them, in the north. And then also the people in the Czech Republic and Polish people, they're like,
Yeah.
so.
I spent 3 weeks in Romania, and every time we went out, it wasn't, do you want some water with your meal?
You want wine?
Yeah.
Yeah, you want wine? It's free almost.
Yep. Or vodka with your wine, and
Yeah.
everywhere. I mean, literally, I've never gone to a place where they offer you liquor all times of the day.
Yeah.
And I was
That's
wow,
like,
this
I mean,
is
like,
interesting.
okay, so the Eastern European countries, what Romania is one of them, they're different anyways. And then, it depends on where you are in Romania. Romania is a very, very poor country, right? So most people that I knew, they go to Romania and then they go to the coast, right?
Like
And
Moldova?
I don't know exactly the cities there. I've never been,
Okay.
but it's a very touristy area, right? There where everything is prepped up and it looks okay and whatever, right? But like, if you go inside, like
To the
into the
country.
country, man,
Like La Pushna?
like
Oh, my
people
word.
walk on trash there. It's awful, But
We-
they're all they're all in a good mood, all in a good mood, and they're drinking a lot. maybe they're colas, but
There is a correlation.
yeah. So
I met some of the people that belong to the gypsy culture there, and I could understand. And I was like, wow. I mean, all this inequality type stuff is everywhere, but it's really a mindset.
yeah.
And it's hard.
Yeah.
That's the hardest thing to get out of the
That's
mindset.
mindset. Yes, that's it's believing in stop like taking in all the negativity like from everywhere. Like it doesn't matter. Like first of all, turn the TV off. That's number one. The influence of like the mass media. Like get rid of that. No matter like which direction you lean to. Like get rid of that. And start like thinking of like how to get out of this, right?
Yes.
Negativity like has to stop right there. Put the blindfolds on and then just go from there. That. But then again, those people often, I say those people, but it's like in poorer countries, they don't have access to that, so they're still a little bit happier because they don't have the negative influence from all those like media outlets. No matter what it is, internet, same. It's like depending on where you are, it's like all this negativity. It's like everything. Right now, we're getting ready for a trip to Miami, and of course, there's a hurricane going on, and it's bad.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, but if you go to the news, they're telling you the world is coming to an end. Of course, it's like all negative, and everyone is going to die, and all that kind of stuff. And everyone's like, we have to drive through this. I was like, hey, you know what? Calm down. First of all, until we're down there, that thing is going to be over. It's going to rain a lot, but it's going to be over.
That's right.
But if I want to know about the weather, I go to the weather app, like that just shows me
know.
the satellite picture
That's right.
without words because the negativity isn't there.
I don't need the commentary. I
Right.
just need to look at the radar. Like
right.
what direction is it going?
I mean, it's true. A lot of those hurricanes hit hard and do a lot of devastating things to a lot of people down there.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that is not dangerous, right? But the negativity that comes with the media is just, I mean, especially news outlets. They live from bad news, right? Like no one wants to watch good news. Like, I mean, people do, but no one really cares. It's the sensation that they want, right? And the sensation comes from bad stuff.
And so do you want to drive positive sensation or negative? I was watching a video on TikTok. This meteorologist, he says, he's looking up the Florida coast and he says, okay, you see these? These are all fours. Anyone in this area, that means you're dead. And your kids are dead too. And then he's like, well, see this person? Her roof is blowing off. Well, she decided not to evacuate and now she's going to die. And I'm like, okay, let's back it up. I mean, that escalated very quickly.
Yeah, that's like, okay.
Yeah.
So, but they get paid for that.
Yeah.
That's like, wow.
So they feed the beast.
Please let everyone live in fear, right? We're talking about the weather right now. Isn't that funny? Because, how should there be fear in weather? It's the weather, we're living on a piece of rock with a lot of water and a lot of wind, like in the middle of nothing. And we're like, oh my God, there's weather.
Yeah.
You should look at other planets.
I can't
how the weather is there.
All I can do is anticipate what's going to happen.
Right.
Like on our farm, the part of the pasture needs to be cut so I can move my animals to prepare for that storm because I don't want them to get.
You have like a severe weather shelter for the animals?
No. I mean, these animals live outside. My dogs are Anatolian shepherds, which grew up in Turkey, which has severe weather.
Yeah.
My sheep are from the islands, but before that, they're from Africa.
Yeah.
So they live outside.
Okay.
I just need to get them on the other side of the hill so that they have shelter, like a windbreak.
Okay.
Because where they are, the wind's going to come and hit. I want it to hit and go over them.
Okay.
Rather than them being down and then the other stream of wind.
All right.
Hits
we also have to wind down a little bit because I know you have a farm and you have a lot of animals, but that's the context is missing. So Mike also has you're growing fertilized eggs and ship them all over the world, right?
All over the world.
You're breeding Kurdish.
So Turkish Anatolian shepherds.
Anatolian shepherds. Okay.
And we're starting this year, hopefully, with the Turkish Malakli.
Okay.
Which is the Aksaray Malaklisi.
Okay.
So it's a bigger. So Turkey has three main dogs: the Anatolian Shepherd, the Turkish Kangal, and then the Turkish Malaklisi.
Okay, and they're huge, right?
Yes,
they're like
they're very
little
big.
Ponies or something like that. Yeah. But it's also
90 is a small one.
Okay, so what are they? Are they particularly good for this area? It's like, I mean, you have bear here, right? It's like,
yeah.
Are you gonna? Do you have a lot of problems with bear with your sheep?
No. What's funny is, so at this point we have 10 sheep. So a mix of ewes, rams, and lambs. Well, there's a massive coyote issue.
Oh, really?
I hear them all the time.
Yeah, I hear them too. But...
And a neighbor of mine caught and trapped 4 bobcats in 1 month.
What?
Yeah. And bobcats are solitary.
Oh, yeah.
Which means if you caught 4, there's 10 times that here. And so it's very interesting. And there's been some bear sightings. So I think there's 2 this year.
Okay.
Which means there's more than that.
Right.
But they have a large range, so you have no idea where they're going.
Yeah, exactly.
But I have no problems
with
the
bobcats.
They don't come.
That's something I didn't even know. So I mean, we live pretty far out there. It's like, and we live on the water, so that's where animals seem to go.
Yeah.
I didn't know bobcats.
Yeah.
So
and I have
how big do they get?
A bobcat probably as big as a border collie, maybe.
Oh, really? And then they go for sheep?
Oh, they'll eat anything. But wild animals don't want to fight if they don't have to.
Well, right.
Yeah.
But
so they will eat sheep.
Okay.
100%.
But are they going to go hunt for them?
If it's available. If you have sheep unprotected in a pasture, it's like a buffet.
Okay. So.
But I have 7 dogs in with those sheep. Now, one is mom. She's training the puppies. But the puppies are bigger than a small German Shepherd at this point. And the 7 of them getting together would destroy anything that comes in there.
Right.
Then at the house, I have two English Mastiffs and a Rottweiler
Okay.
or a Rottweiler, right?
Uh-huh.
So I'm not worried.
All right. Oh, I mean that's quite a big like task force there, you know. So
And so my neighbor, he had problems with his calves. Coyotes were coming and nipping the backs of the legs, trying to put them down, and then he'd drag them off.
yeah.
I have no such problems.
Okay.
Even deer, they go on the edge of the property. They don't ever come through the middle.
I mean, are they gonna go after deer?
Who, bobcats?
No, the dogs.
No. I mean, they would. They'd chase it. But my English Mastiffs and the Rottweiler would chase it.
Okay.
But the livestock guardian dogs, they don't chase things unless they mean to kill it.
Okay. So they're like, okay, just leave me alone.
Yeah.
If
Because
if you know danger to my herd, then
correct.
no problem.
So I'll find,
But you breed them solely for yourself, or are you also gonna sell them?
I want to sell them to the community. Because
Okay.
that breed is not prevalent in this area.
Uh-huh.
The Great Pyrenees is, but they have fallen out of favor. So I want to breed a low maintenance, short haired dog that can adapt.
Okay.
And I mean, think about Turkey. It gets really cold,
It's rough there.
right?
It's absolutely
You
rough.
have desert, you have city, you have village.
Yeah.
And that breed specifically was bred to be in the village, but also go with the shepherd.
Yeah.
And so
In the mountains, yeah.
for me, I have a lot of visitors to my farm. So I want one that's not going to go crazy, but they will protect their flock to the death.
Yeah, I mean that's shepherds, right? I mean, the bigger they are, the more forces behind it. You know,
Yes.
it's like I mean, there's a lot to say to like the German or the Belgian shepherds, but they're. I mean, there's a reason why they're the favorite of the K9 police force. So pretty aggressive also can be. Very trainable.
Yeah.
How's that? Was your breed there?
The Anatolian Shepherd, it's funny. They're called the Anatolian Shepherd, but they're really not. Someone has a wrong name. Either the Belgian Shepherd and German Shepherd have the wrong name, or they do. Because in my mind, I think a shepherd is just calm, cool, collected, just hanging out.
Yeah.
Whereas the Belgian Shepherd, German Shepherd, Malinois,
Yeah, they're more like
they're more of a herder.
Like a herder, right?
Yeah.
Like a herder.
Like
And
even the
it's like-
Rottweiler is a herder.
Yeah.
They were
Is it?
originally a herding dog.
Okay. So, but isn't that like a mix? Like the
The Rottweiler?
yeah.
Technically.
I mean, they're
you go far enough back, you have Mastiff in their line.
okay. All right. Well, I had a German Pinscher once, like
Oh, yeah.
not the Doberman Pinscher, the
Yeah.
original German Pinscher.
Mhm.
They're like I don't know the English word for that, but they were like originally like they were like was like a pack of 5 or 6. Like running with like the horse carts for like the
yeah.
post in Europe, right?
Yes.
Because they were like protecting that,
Yep.
they could run like crazy. They would never stop. They have very short fur, so they they could sweat.
Yeah.
They could regulate their temperature like that, and but still like super waterproof because they had a lot of oil, right?
Yeah.
So that was a perfect dog for that, And the reason, I mean, their typical look, like it's not allowed in Europe anymore, to clip them. No.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right.
Unless you have a reason for that, meaning like you have a hunting dog, for example, that goes through the brushes and everything.
Yeah.
Then some of them you can, get the tail off or even the ears because they would hurt themselves more than,
Correct.
that hurts them. But in general, like for just aesthetics, you're not allowed to like to clip them anymore.
That's true.
But the original reason, especially with the German Pinscher, what is like basically looking like the Doberman Pinscher, just smaller, right? Was because they ran through the woods, they clipped the ears and the tail so they wouldn't get hurt.
Yeah.
Because they were like, Doberman Pinscher, and also the German Pinscher, they have huge ears.
Yes, they
if you
do.
see them, they're like this.
Yes.
So mine wasn't clipped, and every time like he would get like cuts from like
Cuts on the edge, right?
like shaking and like those flaps like going together, and so they're huge. So
Yeah.
you're not allowed to do that there anymore. But like here, still allowed, and different types of dogs do different types of jobs, right?
Yeah,
So
that's right.
That's right. But like German Shepherds, Belgian Shepherds, I think they have the right name. It's just not what they write on the breed because
I think people
they're
think
fur
shepherd
missiles, right?
yeah, they are. because an Anatolian Shepherd would not be good for herding because their demeanor is very laid back, very calm, very observing. Then they turn it on when they need to. Like,
So they're just there, and then just also
yes.
they. I don't know. Like I know we had a bunch of different shepherds in Germany. When they lay down, they look like sheep.
Mm-hmm.
So is that the case there too?
Sometimes. So you have an Anatolian, you have white Anatolians, you have more of a fawn, which is a sand colored
Mm-hmm.
or a brush colored. And I think because of the varied landscape of Turkey, you have brindle, you have reverse brindle, you have fawn with black mask, you have fawn, straight fawn with no mask, you have white, all white, kind of like it looks like a lab, a lean lab.
Okay. But bigger.
And yeah,
Just bigger.
very much so. But
Okay.
it also depends on where they grew up. I mean, they were developed in the Anatolia
Yeah.
section of Turkey, and I think the Kangal was in the Sivas section of Turkey, so that's why all of them have black masks.
Okay.
But that's also because they all have Mastiff in their line.
I mean, they're just huge. Like, I've seen
Very.
like pictures. Like that's
Yeah, I fell in love when I could trust my 3-year-old in the pasture. Other than them licking her face, she's fine.
Yeah. Well, I mean that the door like the pincher I had there that was an asshole. I have to say that. That was like, they're hard. They are like very because they're so like they're meant to be free. Like the pack leader leads
Independent
them,
thought.
and then right. So I had to put him on his back a few times a day. So it's like, but then it was the nicest dog. You just have to show him, hey, until here,
Yeah.
not further. But that's a different breed.
Yeah.
They're different. Like I had a Jack Russell, kind of like a, I don't know. It was like it was a girl, and I wanted a dog that matched my energy back then.
Yeah, okay.
When I was like 20 years old or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And the Jack Russell was like right there,
Just all over the place, like ready to go.
ready to go. I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, always happy, always like, yeah, but like, don't mess with me, right? Because I'm mean. So
Yeah.
that was me back then. I was like, okay, that matches. And like, they had to put her down this year
Yikes.
after almost 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mike,
That
that's
was
a long
a
time.
grandmother. Like she
Wow.
was just like, she was deaf at the end, but like she was going until right before they had to put her down. It's like didn't even die from alone. It's like you had to put her down, but she was in pain. So
That is hard.
that's very hard for the kids because my oldest son, he's 18 and the dog was already there when he was born. So that's a long time, almost
Yeah.
20 years, 18 years, something like that. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's if you sign up for a dog, a smaller ones, smaller breeds, they live for a long time.
They do.
Especially, some if you have a mutt, like I don't know, like a mix,
Yeah.
right? Then even more so. Like,
Yeah.
because the bloodline is cleaner than
That's right. You have that hybrid vigor.
yeah,
as they
it's
call
like it's absolutely. It's
Oh,
like
man.
we have a lot of problems in Europe with like kennels that overbreed.
Mm.
A lot of like what's it called inbreed. Because
Yes.
the bloodlines are like especially if you want to like revive a
You have to do a bit of inbreeding to get
yes
it back.
that's and if if you're not lucky then that's going to be a problem. So
Yeah.
but do you have enough like to draw from like
Yes. So
Turkey?
before we did that, we planned 2 years before we bought this farm. And so I did a lot of research on genetics. Well, if you think about it, I could have studied genetics on dogs. Well, I studied livestock because there's tons of studies about that.
Mm-hmm.
And so, so basically, we have a few good males on the property, and then mostly females. And so we just want to save some of those males back just in case something happens.
Mm-hmm.
But you want to always be rotating in genetics
Mm-hmm.
and rotating for what your program is. So we want bigger guardian dogs because as bobcats, as even the occasional mountain lion might come into the property, we want them to be able to take on a coyote, a stray dog, or a man, if that's the case. And a smaller dog may not be up for the challenge.
Right.
And ultimately, we just want a deterrent.
Right. I mean,
Be scary enough that no one's going to try it.
Right. I mean, especially when we're talking about, like herding dogs, right?
Mm-hmm.
the German Shepherd is not that big.
Mm.
You know, I mean, they're not tiny dogs, but they're not that big,
That's right.
Belgian Shepherd's the same. They're
Yeah.
a little bit taller, but you know, they're skinny. So, and then you have the Australian Kelpies and the Collies and whatever.
right.
They're like, I'm always like, they look like I could break them, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to like mess with them
Yeah.
either, but you know, when you have like something built so massive, you know, that's a totally different animal.
Because my males
like,
will top out. My males get about 150 pounds,
Wow, that's quite a bit.
and because they're walking around all day. They're not just sitting around on a couch.
Are they
they're
sleeping
almost-
outside also?
Everyone sleeps outside.
Okay.
Everyone has a job.
Okay. So
There's a social
you're out
contract
there.
you sign when you come to my property.
You're 1099 now.
That's right. You have a job.
Yeah.
If you don't want to work, maybe we send you to a pet home.
Yeah.
But if you live here, you have a job.
Okay, that's great. So,
Mhm.
you said you have 10 sheep,
Yeah, roughly.
roughly 10.
We had more than that, but we had some.
and then 7
some
dogs
issues.
with them.
Mhm.
That's quite a big herd, then, right?
Yes.
So, well, I mean, there's protection.
Yeah.
You mentioned mountain lions. I heard that, but you know, thank God I've never seen one here. But
Yeah.
like, are they around here?
You know, people will say that they've seen them, but no one's killed one.
Okay.
So it's not proven unless you've killed one
Oh, right.
and you can see it.
You don't want to do that to the last
Some
one.
people say that they've seen tracks, but who knows? I just want to be prepared for the worst. A
All right.
bear, mountain lion,
Yeah.
or even a pack of coyotes. A pack of coyotes.
Oh yeah,
is pretty
if
dangerous.
they come in the pack. Like
Mhm.
we lived before we moved here in Signal Mountain, we had like a pack of coyotes going through our yard for a few times. So I was like, hey, don't let the kids out. You know, that's like because if they come at during daytime, like something is off.
Yeah.
Like something is off. So
That means they're getting really bold.
right, that's the thing, and it's like Signal Mountain is not a rural area.
No.
Like it's not a suburban or anything, but it's also not rural. You know,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
it's like that's quite a village up there, right? So
Yeah.
if they come through our yard, I mean, we had a huge like yard and everything at the rim of the mountain.
Yeah.
But still, something is off when they come so close during the daytime. That's like
Mhm.
they don't want to be around people either.
An Anatolian Shepherd would put that to bed.
Yeah, I believe that. I believe that. So, but
And they're not barky either. Like Great Pyrenees, they will bark and howl through the night. The Anatolians, unless they hear a disturbance, and a valid disturbance, they're not making a whole lot of noise,
okay, that's cool.
which is amazing.
Yeah, I believe that. That's very different from like a Jack Russell.
Yeah.
They're like
Yeah.
all the
And
time. It's like
they're looking at killing snakes and rats. Like
Yeah.
they're just looking like, give me a job.
yeah, that's the thing. You have to, if you have a dog like that, Jack Russells, they look cute and everything. They have high energy. You have to give them something to do.
Give them a job.
I always like, and like I said, we lived in a very like urban area, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like one of the biggest cities in Europe, where I had my dog go through my dad's yard and like get all the mice out and whatever because bored,
That's right.
can't do that. And I was like, just give her that job, and she's working for hours
That's right.
in the hatch,
Mhm.
like working for hours, didn't have to say anything.
That's
like
right.
just let her work.
Yeah.
So that's something, a lot of people, dismiss the reason of why a dog is, a breed, right?
Yeah.
It's like, so you have a German Shepherd, okay? What do you have to do for them? Worse, Border Collie, right? Smartest dogs in the world.
Yeah.
You have something to do for them. You train them. You like do tricks with them or something like
Yeah.
that. No, well, you're gonna have a really pissed dog all the time because
Yes.
they want to do something.
And if they
They're
don't, they're probably very submissive.
They are. It can get dangerous if you don't give them anything to do. Then
Mm-hmm.
they get so bored that they get destructive and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Where they can be as smart as you want. You have to put them to work. They're
Yeah.
workers.
Isn't
Right?
that just like us? When we get bored, when we have no direction, when we
Oh
have
God,
no vision?
I'm awful. Like if I have nothing to do, I'm like start destroying myself. Absolutely. So for me right now, I'm so busy. Great. It's like
Yeah.
you can't do that.
Mhm.
That's the thing. So absolutely. Tell me about the egg part of that farm. So because
So-
that I didn't. So you just like
What we don't realize sometimes when we're in the U.S. is we support other economies. And so when I prayed about this farm, I mean, the whole deal was I didn't want to be a farmer. I didn't want to be a farmer in the way that I'm farming now. I wanted to own a large piece of land, have a nice estate on it, at towards the end of my career, and now it's like, okay, I've done my job. But I just felt like God was telling me I need to buy a farm. And I had a very Jonah-esque experience where I had never had panic attacks before, Mike. And for 6 months straight, I was having this cognitive dissonance of, I'm this financial person, I'm establishing myself, I'm finally breaking in, and now God wants me to be a farmer. Well, I had to do some research now after I said yes. Well, look, what makes money? Breeding operations. And yes, produce does, but it takes time to grow the produce.
Yeah, right.
So what we figured is, okay, low maintenance. Chickens are going to breed, sheep are going to breed, dogs are going to breed. But other economies depend on the U.S. to export. So if you can join in that, well, now you have a massive value to the marketplace.
Mm-hmm.
And so we breed chickens, right? And then we ship them off to a hatchery. And then that hatchery sends them wherever they send them. We're not a part of that part of the chain.
So you're like, so you're like at the source,
mm-hmm.
and then send it to a hatchery, and then they do whatever.
They do whatever.
So how many eggs do you ship?
Probably, okay. We collect at the tail end of breeding. Right now, we're probably at 8,000 a day.
8,000 a day? How many chickens do you have?
9,000 right now. No. Sorry. 8,200.
8,200. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of chicken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
It's like I'm expecting like an invitation, for like a barbecue or something like that.
Listen, well, that's another thing. It's cultural, right? The chickens that you eat in the supermarket don't come from a breeding operation. They come from a meat operation.
Right.
It's like a different breed.
They're like, okay. They're fed totally different. So it's probably
I don't know if you in Germany.
No meat on your chickens, huh?
Not much. They would be small, and by the time that they're available for meat, like their breeding is pretty much done.
Mm-hmm.
Americans don't like hard bones. They like tender chickens, which is young chicken.
Mm-hmm. Whereas
in the islands, we value a tough chicken.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Chicken bones are like we call them a fowl, right? So that fowl is going to have strong bones, not a whole lot of meat on them, but they're like mature.
Okay. So it's also you taste different, I would assume.
Yes. It's not as tender.
Okay. So tough.
A little bit tougher.
Okay.
I mean, still more tender than like goat.
Or right. Beef. Okay.
but not as tender as fish.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, that's interesting. I've never been. I always want to go to, the Caribbean. Probably not during hurricane season, but
yeah,
so,
outside of hurricane season.
It's like maybe like January or something like that. That sounds cool to me.
Not a bad time. Mm-hmm.
So weather is beautiful, it's still warm, and all that kind of stuff. You don't have to like hang around here when it's like super cold. I mean, it's not really super cold here, but I just moved down here from Chicago.
Yeah.
So for me, it was like, okay, that would sound good to me. Being in the Caribbean, during the winter.
Mm-hmm.
It's not bad.
No.
But even like I think southern Florida is already cool.
It's like, similar. It's warmer than southern Florida. So like warmer than the Bahamas would be or Puerto Rico in the Caribbean. So for the past couple of years, we go to either Puerto Rico or the Bahamas in February.
Okay.
And it's brisk, but it's still hot enough you can go swimming.
Okay.
Right? But in the Caribbean,
it's like summer all day.
It is like a cold summer.
Okay.
Right. And then summer.
So what's the temperatures? 70s.
I have to convert. So I think 60 degrees is cold.
Okay.
70s is
what do you have to convert? Like Celsius?
Yeah. So like my wife's from Barbados and they use Celsius.
Okay. Well, we use Celsius everywhere in the world, just not here.
This is true.
It's like we use the metric system everywhere in the world, just not here.
That's right.
So yeah.
But it is interesting that it's like, man, the weather's just so great. But obviously the economy's not so great.
Well, I bet. But like, they have a lot of tourism down there too.
Yes. Right? Yeah.
So, I mean, it's always like that. It's like it's same in Europe too.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have areas where it's beautiful, but there's nothing going on economy-wise, right? But then they have a lot of tourism, but that can only, float them so far.
That's right.
But then you have like the rougher areas where there's a lot of economy, but it's ugly.
That's right.
So, I mean,
you just have the vision to see, okay, well, what's my upside here?
Right.
Well, maybe I have a beautiful area and I have tourism. Well, this is great. Well, what if you became the supplier for these people who have carts? Because most of them just want income.
Right.
So now if I go on Alibaba or Amazon and okay, well, what's selling? And I supply them, well, now there's an opportunity. And now there's consistency. There's all these things that they didn't have before. And so you just have to look for the opportunity.
That's coming back to what we talked about earlier. The mindset, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's absolutely that, what changes someone. Like they did it to me, 2020 was like, for you, COVID was your savior.
Oh,
right.
yes.
So you didn't have to do that. You went through like a fitness program, and like fought hard for it, and look at you now, right? For me, it was COVID that, destroyed me in the beginning, and then also like showed me that I did not want to work for other people anymore, right? So I was just desperate. I quit the job in the midst of the pandemic.
Yeah.
My wife looked at me like,
what are we doing?
There was a lot of words coming with that, like, but, and I just had to like, pick up the phone and call people, and it worked, and ever since then, I don't look back. I think I needed that devastating, early 2020 was COVID and everything, to become the person, to understand that I have to change my mindset. And I mean, for me, it's like, I didn't come from, oh my God, the universe is against me kind of thing, like I already worked on myself ever since then. And I had a lot to give for other people already then, but, really the click came by being devastated and being, desperate, mindset change sometimes, is not something that comes from alone. There has to be like something that like triggers that, right?
Yes.
So
usually it's pain.
It's
the pain of regret or the pain of change. Which one do you choose?
Exactly. But then at the same time, it's like, okay, how do we help other people to change their mind or their mindset without the pain? Is it possible?
No.
I don't know.
I watched my sheep. I brought some people onto the farm this weekend. And I was watching the sheep. We took them up to the pasture, and I came up. I got a little bit too close to their bubble, so that most of them left. But then there was one. She's looking at the electric fence, which was down on one side, so they could get across. Well, she knows that if she touches that white wire, she's going to get a shock that she doesn't like. It's like a punch in the face.
Yeah. No, I've been punched by that.
She's walking, and she's looking up and down the wire. And Mike, I'm telling you, there's a gaping hole she can jump through, but she doesn't see it. I get close, and I get within 3 feet of her. She runs through it, gets shocked on the way out. Because why? She was more afraid of me doing something, taking her out of the pasture or moving her, than she was of the electricity at that moment.
Yeah.
But until then, until she had a impinging force, she was wondering. She was on the edge, right? That's like when we're sitting on the fence trying to make a decision.
Right. I mean, I get that, but it's like, I don't know. I just hope for other people that they, that they see what, pain other people went through and see, what, I don't want to wait until then.
That's not going to happen, sadly. Because think about muscles, right? The only way your muscle grows is by tearing.
Yeah.
Pain. And yes, it's different pain.
No gain.
Yeah. Like my father and my mother came to this country, a country with a different culture than what they're used to. Am I ever going to feel that pain? On a minor level, like I moved from New York City to the South. And so there was some adjustment. Some people decide, oh, wow, I can adjust to this. Some people say, no, I'm never going to do this. I'm going to graduate and leave. I said, no, I'll take on the challenge, right? I want to seek after the hard. There's always going to be hard.
Right.
But right behind every challenge is the new version of you waiting to break free.
Absolutely.
And so you never get to meet that person. I could have been fit a long time ago. But to me, I didn't believe that I could.
The pain wasn't there.
Yeah. I allowed, you're big boned, or it just runs in the family, or you'll be okay. I just love you the way you are. No.
The whole deal, right? It's kind of like that. I mean, I get it, and I have that, I went through pain in my life before, right? Where I wasn't where I wanted to be, it's like, and then, I changed my life and I was like, got out of my comfort zone. It's like this whole deal was like, okay, I just have to do. right? Like even before, my just recent, and then those pivotal moments have happened in my life quite often, right? Where it's like, okay, I have to do something.
Yeah.
So the pain, or the even like the imaginative pain that you can have is like,
Yep.
I just don't want to be where I am, right?
Yes.
That doesn't have to be devastating all the time, but it's like if you feel unhappy about something, that can be enough pain, right?
Yeah.
So changing something, for me, it's like I'm coming to a new country. I'm coming from a place where I thought there is no cultural difference. I really thought there's no difference, right?
Yeah.
And then coming over here and then realizing, oh, there's a lot of difference.
Yeah.
There's a lot of difference, Again, like perspective, for your parents, for example, or for me, as an immigrant might be different because we come from a different place. The culture was different for both, but different, right?
Yeah.
It's always like that perspective thing, right? So I came over here and I was like, okay, so why do I come across so weird all the time, right? Because that's really what it is.
Yeah.
German culture is really like a very direct one that then often gets mistaken with being super rude, even though there's a lot of people that are rude, and I get it now as further I am removed from that culture, basically, right? But at the same time, I know that most people only have good things in mind when they give you unsolicited advice, right?
This is true.
So, but the American culture can't handle that very well. So
It depends on where you are. Like the German culture, the attitude would fit very well into New York.
Well,
Why?
I know, I live there,
reasons,
and,
right? There's an abundance of Eastern European influence in New York City.
Yeah.
And so if you look at New York City and you look at Bucharest, you look at all the major cities on the eastern side of Europe, well, they look the same, right? And so if you study personality, Eastern Europe leans more towards conscientiousness, which means task-oriented, let's get the job done. Let's leave the feelings out so much.
Yep.
Whereas the American culture on a whole is more, think who settled it, right?
Yeah.
You have your Western Europe, which is very feelings-based, right? That art revolution, all those folks came to America.
Absolutely.
So we're predisposed to feelings.
But it's like, okay, but there's something to be said to what you just said. Like New York, that always worked out well for me. I thought, oh my God, everyone is so nice here. Everyone was like, no, they're all, like in New York, everyone is an asshole. I was like, no, they're still nicer than my people. So it's like, but, this mix comes together, right?
Yeah.
You're right. The how do I say that, the Latin world, and like Latin speaking world, that's what I'm talking about. Italians, French people, Spanish people, Portuguese people, British people, there's a mixture there, they're leaning more towards like feelings and stuff like that, right? Whereas like they're also, in my opinion, like the way they handle problems is very philosophical, right?
Yeah.
I mean, really, it is. And then
it is.
At the same time, there's Germans, and we were known in Europe for being the thinkers and poets of the, Renaissance and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But not so much anymore. It's like there's not much art coming out of Germany anymore. Like if you compare that to, for example, like France or,
Correct.
other, Italy, stuff like that. But it was there before. Just, the culture also got a huge shift when, World War I, World War II was happening. Of course, Germany changed for the better. I'm not going to say that, that didn't happen. But the thing is that a lot of this like cultural, like artsy stuff, that whole aspect of it, that got a big hit, So now being who we are, is like sometimes rubbing people the wrong way.
And I think if you think about it like far enough back, if you are in a climate where you have a limited summer,
very limited,
you don't have time to waste. If you're going to grow crops and if you're going to be efficient at storing up food, you have to be efficient, right? You have to get things done. But if you live in a warm climate, you're growing food all year long.
Right.
You can be laid back, right? I use the analogy of the hippie. Well, it's cool, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I can grow some cabbage anytime.
Yeah.
I can grow these vegetables anytime because it's always going to be warm.
Yeah, right.
Right? Because you realize that we all come from villages, right?
Right.
But if I live in a village in the Caribbean, Hey, I'll just drop a seed in the ground. It's going to grow.
It's like it comes from alone.
But
It's
try
like,
to do that in Finland in
Yeah.
February.
yeah, no, good
Yeah,
luck.
no doubt.
Good luck. You grow stuff in Finland from like I would think like May through August.
That's right.
And that's it. It's like you
Yeah.
have like one shot. Oh, not we don't eat this year. But we have a lot of stuff in the freezer.
That's right.
Like, that's the thing. Yeah, yeah. I've never thought about it like that, but there's something to it.
Yeah.
But that it's like I have to adapt.
Yeah.
I'm the nuisance here, or not nuisance, but I'm the transplant. I'm the implant here,
right.
right? It's like, okay, I change my mindset because I can't make you all change your mindset because that would be rude.
Yes.
That would be really the rude part. That's like, okay, I'm different. Yeah, I know. And you're never going to get Germany out of me, but at least I know I'm different and I'm trying to adapt or warn people.
Yeah.
At least that, warn people.
And that's a part of knowing yourself, right?
Right.
Outside of, through this weight loss, I lost 115 pounds. Like that's how the whole journey went.
Mm-hmm.
But I started learning things about myself that I was like, man, because I had the panic attacks, I'm losing weight, I found out I have ADHD. And I'm like, okay, I want to be almost like a machine. How can I make this machine run better? How can I make sure that this machine up here runs better? Oh, it's through knowing myself, through understanding. And like you said, if you warn people, you only warn people if you know something can go sideways,
Yes,
right?
exactly.
And I tell people, listen, I will give more passion than any other advisor. And I have systems to make sure that I'm organized and keep things in place.
Mm-hmm.
But most advisors aren't like that, right? And so if people expect type A, engineer type, like numbers, they're not going to get that with me because I want to know what drives you.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want? And I'm going to work to get you what you want. I'm going to connect you to the people you need to connect with so I can set you up because I want to understand you. I want to build community.
Right.
That's the only way that we all thrive.
But I agree 100%. And then networking is so big for me too. We know each other for a few weeks, since I came to town. But, you have connected me to way more people than anyone else in town already. And it's like, was no question, like nothing, you don't want anything in return.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. And I act like that too. It's like, hey, you know what? We should connect this person to that person. We should connect that person to this person. They will benefit from that.
Yeah.
And then I don't care what you do with it. I did
That's
this.
right.
That's the whole deal is like, I had a conversation lately with someone in Chicago where we were, and he was like, well, networking events, I don't know. I don't feel it. I don't want it. It's just like, I feel like put on the spot. Like, I don't want to sell stuff to people I don't know. I want to rather find a place where I can build a friendship, right? A personal relationship. I was like, well, you're looking at it the wrong way. It's like if you go there from the point of view where you're like, oh, I have to go there. I have to sell them something. I'm not that person. I don't go.
Yeah.
Rather than going there and say, hey, you know what? I'm going to talk to all of the people at the networking event and listen to them. I don't sell them anything. I'm not there for that. And then later, I listen to everyone, to all the pitches, and I was like, you know what? That person has a problem that person can solve. Connect them because they didn't talk to each other because they were all busy selling. That's the thing.
That's right.
That is so much more beneficial for the room than here's my business card. I do XYZ.
That's right.
Especially now I have a marketing company. That's different. Like the amount and the type of customers I can have now with that company is a totally different one than with Pitco. Industrial automation only.
Yeah.
We fix your stuff. We fix your project. We come up with training solutions for your staff. I don't, if I go to a networking event, I know there's no customers for me to be made anyways with that company.
Yeah.
Right? It's different now, but I'm not going to change the game. I'm still going to do that because I'm going to get in front of enough people because I did people a favor.
Yeah.
And they, if they would have a marketing need, they would come to me directly. They're going to look me up. They're not going to wait until I come to them. This is not like I have the best tomatoes kind of thing, right? This is, hey, you know what? I'm very specialized in two industries, real estate and industrial, manufacturing was my marketing company. That's like, why would I try to like force this on, let's say, a farmer, right? I don't think I would have anything beneficial for you with my marketing company.
No.
Absolutely not.
Because I would have to have such a scale of business to take advantage of that. Because what you're going to do is going to put me on a national stage. And I don't have near the supply I would need. Because now people are looking. Okay, Michael, do you have enough sheep? Oh, no, I only have 10. Right?
Yeah.
Now, if I had 200, now I'm in a position to maybe take advantage of that and be on a national stage because I want to really breed wide. And now that I'm doing that, I have a wider net to get more genetics from. That would be the deal.
Right.
I was talking to a local business owner today, Dennis Van Meter. He said, switch the mindset from from got to, I got to do this, I got to do that, to I get to.
I get to.
Because it's all a luxury, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is.
Because people in third world countries don't get to.
Yeah.
They got to.
Absolutely. 100%.
And then a great friend of mine, David Ferguson, he said this past Saturday, he was like, listen, a great leader looks at who he can put in a position to win, and he realizes that giving away some of that influence does not diminish his. In fact, it increases his the more he gives away.
Yeah, absolutely. They empower people, right? That's the thing. It's like, how can I give back?
Everybody wants to feel special.
How can I give back? It's like, if I can help you with a gesture or with just, like a 5-minute conversation, then I get more out of that. Me personally, because I helped someone, I'm just that person. I just love helping people if they want to or not. There's the Germanness coming in again, where it's like, well, I don't want I don't want it. I was like, here, but do you listen to me now?
That's right.
That is something where it's like, I just can't.
Because you're working on that.
Right. So, but that there's so much to that you're absolutely right. It's like, we get to help people. We get to, right now we're on a work trip, preparing for that. I get to go down there and meet more people. Yeah. That's like, I probably help a lot of people down there. It's like, that's me. It's like, the only reason I go down there is like to meet more people.
Yeah.
And I know they're going to be from all over the country or even the world. I'm not going to be in business with any of them, but they're going to probably connect me to people that I might be in business, but it's not an immediate fix for me. It's like,
no,
I go there because next week I'm going to have more business.
Because it's really a problem you can fix, right? A problem you can help with. If you chase the money, you'll never have any, right?
Right.
But if you chase the problems, now you can fix problems.
Right.
And when you fix problems, you'll become infinitely wealthy.
Right. That's
you're fixing massive problems. I mean, with both companies.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, especially, we're like going crazy right now with industrial automation. Like, we're fixing all those problems that, everyone has right now because I build a network. That's it. I built a network. We're over 8,000 already. Like last month, we were like at 7,000. Now we're at 8,000. We're going to be at 10,000 next month. So it's going to go exponentially from here on. It's like adding more people to my network is like what drives everything. And I'm LinkedIn, for example. I don't use LinkedIn to get in front of more customers. I do not do sales with LinkedIn. What I do is like, I get vendors from there. So I'm the customer. I know I have enough to do. I need more vendors. Like, I don't need it to get in front of more customers. I need to get in front of more vendors. That's my problem. People. People is my problem. Like, everyone else's, it's not
everyone's problem, right?
It's like, my problem is not customers. My problem is people. So, and I figured out how to solve that problem. And that way I solved the problem for all of my customers.
Yeah.
Because we do that. We do staffing, right? It's like, we find the right people, validate their skills, because that's very important, right?
Yeah.
We have this, like, I always like bring this like analogy of like, we're like a country club kind of thing, because that's exactly what that is. Like, I need validation. If I don't know someone, I need 2 people to tell me that person is any good or that's not,
true.
And then I will consider offering. If we don't do that, I'm going to burn my name and I have nothing out of that.
That's true.
It takes, what's the saying? Like, it takes 20 years to build a reputation, takes 5 minutes to destroy it.
Yeah.
And that's exactly it. So I don't want to destroy my reputation. Took me 6 years to build it, here in the United States with my company. I want to have another 20, before I probably sell the company.
That's right.
But that's the thing. It's like, don't want to risk anything. Therefore, I'd rather play it safe and say, hey, you know what? I could even, fill more positions, but with people that are unverified,
Yeah.
I will not do that.
No.
That's not for the short-term gain. I'm not going to do that. I
think-
could make at least double the money that I make right now, but I don't do it because I vet people.
Yeah. It's funny. If we would do better networking, there wouldn't be a need for people like you, which is crazy, right? Because if you go to the traditional person and ask for a referral, they're going to give you someone that they know, but they have no idea if they're good or not, right? A lot of people use them. Well, why don't you have a real conversation and ask them, hey, what's a good referral for you? Like, what part of the job do you love, right? Because you maybe have a plumber, but he hates fixing like under sink stuff, but he loves installing pipe. Give him only the referrals for installing pipe, because he's not going to do a good job of the Mr. Fix-It handyman type stuff.
Right.
And if there's a guy that loves the handyman stuff, but hates installing pipe, don't give him the installing pipe stuff.
Yep.
Give him the stuff that he's good at. And so many times we don't even take the time to get to know someone to know what it is they like.
That's exactly it.
Hey, you're a plumber. I'm going to give you this. You should love it because you're a plumber.
Right. That's like, again, the people we do this, like it's very straightforward method, right? We get a CV. The CV says, here's my education, here's my name, here's the past projects I have worked on, right? We do a lot of automotive, so I know the plans that if someone is real, the first thing is like, okay, the projects that you list here, right? I probably know all those projects because we had other people working on them too, or we had a company that told me about the job or whatever. So I see there's a handful of line builders, right? And then there's all the vendors of those people. So I look through it and I'm like, okay, so that person worked for that person in that time. Okay, let me make some phone calls.
Okay.
Pick up the phone and call the boss of the company. It's like, hey, this person wants to work for me. Can you give me any reference because they listed they work for you?
Yeah.
Go for it or don't go for it, right? Because they don't want to burn their name either. They're like, oh, if I tell you he's good, then and he isn't, then right? So that's how that works. So if we wouldn't do that, then we would just be another, staffing company. But we're not. So we do staffing, but we're not a staffing company. Like, I'm a programmer myself. I have worked as a freelance programmer before. I'm a fixer of problems, right? So I'm a software engineer, all that kind of stuff. I did project management. I vet people still myself. I call people up because I have the network, right? I work for so many other people. They know I'm good.
Know you are.
They know I can determine if someone is good. So I have rarely complaints. Rarely. Like I'm not saying there's never complaints because sometimes it's just like people like, yeah, but I wish it was more. I was like, well, did you like actually prepare everything for it being more?
Yeah.
Or are you just going to complain because your project went sideways? It's like we have one man in the project and your project isn't going that well. It's like, is it really because of that or because of, the whole setup there, right? But it's rare. It's really rare. And then it's like, if you tell them, it's like, you want me to like take him away? Is it that? No, then they want to keep him. So that's just complaining, you have to distinguish between that. It's like someone like that is like, hey, we don't take that person back. It's no good, destroyed stuff, whatever, like screwed up. Or no, that's not that bad. So, well, okay. Then, if you don't have anything nice to say, why don't you just but, it's customers, and they can say something, but there's a bigger picture to be, drawn all the time, right? So
I always assume someone's telling you something, you might as well listen. And so I don't know everything, but I find that when you let someone talk long enough, they'll tell you what the true problem is. And sometimes they don't even realize it, but if you listen, they can tell you what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Plus, this whole deal is like, if you give them a platform to talk, right? Everyone loves talking about themselves. Everyone,
Definitely.
So you discover problems that they have. They're them talking about that, but they're not aware that they just talked about a problem.
That's right.
So it's like, hey, okay, so Why are you doing it that way? What are you talking about? What you just said. Well, we have done that like that for 40 years. Why would we change this? This is how it works. I was like, there's a way better way to do that. Let me show you. So I show that, whatever it is, right? It doesn't happen that often, but, it happened before. And that's like, you have to be able to even see that you have a problem,
Telling you.
Sometimes people just don't identify that.
I learned to ask a question. So when I sit down with a client, I do a lot of rapport building because I'm trying to let them get a good picture of what I do and who I am. And I want to learn who they are because I don't think you can help someone unless you understand that.
Exactly.
But one great question I learned a couple of years ago was, let's say we look 5 years down the line. This is going well. And you think that it was worth it to encounter me. What has to go right for you to feel that way?
Yeah.
Now they're going to tell you what they actually want you to do.
Right.
Because you may come in, or I might come in and say, okay, well, maybe they want to get some life insurance or an investment or a mortgage or whatever. But then they're going to tell you, okay, well, you know what? I will be able to go to the grocery store and make purchases without looking at the ATM. Or I can continue to flip houses and I have a steady stream. It's streamlined. I don't have an issue. That's great. Or I've saved up enough money to send my grandkids to school, and being able to enjoy them is really what I would feel like that's a win. Okay, great. So what they're saying is they want to free up enough capital to do this, this, or this. It's really all a matter of capital to do the things they want to do.
Plus, they just sold themselves. That's the thing. It's like, okay, if you tell me you can do that, then we have a deal.
That's right. If they're genuine.
Right.
Right? Because if you say, hey, I can meet all those needs, and then they tell you they want to think about it or they're not sure, then maybe there's something deeper that we haven't tapped into yet.
Right.
And sometimes people need time.
Oh, they just don't want to.
Yeah.
There's always a possibility that they, want to be polite and they just don't like the product or whatever, or they just have no need for that. Yeah. Right. That's the thing. It's like, well, I said that because there were nice words to be said, or they sounded nice, but I really don't want it, or I don't need it, or I don't feel I need it. That's, it's always like the objections that they have.
But I don't actually think you can fix the problem. So I'm not going to tell it to you because it'll be a waste of my time. But then they self-fulfill that prophecy because they didn't tell you.
Right.
And so you're trying to fix a false problem. And it's like, well, I thought I was coming here to fix your process, right?
Right.
Well, you actually have a people problem, not a process problem.
Right.
Your people are not following the process.
It's always a people problem.
Yeah, that's right.
It doesn't matter. It's always a people problem.
Yeah.
It's like the process, like, okay, you can fix processes, right? If they just don't work, because, if they don't work, you had a people problem before, because you didn't have the right people to put the system in place, right?
That's right.
But, it's always like a snapshot of something, right? In this moment, it's a people problem. But, in 3 moments afterwards, it's not going to be a people problem anymore. If you just take this out of context, it's going to be a process problem, right?
Yes.
But because you had that people problem like 3 minutes ago, now you have a process problem.
Yes.
So it's like, it's always, everything is a people's business, everything. It's like, it doesn't matter what it is, sales, operations, management, anything.
Yes.
Anything. Like production is always people. It's always people. And you can only do so much with automation. And I'm in the automation business.
Yeah.
I think that we will at some point reach total automation when it comes to, at least for manufacturing, but also for a lot of other aspects of in our life. And I think it will be a great world. Absolutely.
So you think 100% automation or maybe like 90%, 85%?
I think there's going to be, you would be surprised what all automated would work better. I think you're going to see doctors going away, like surgeons.
Yeah.
A robot can do that way better.
That's true. The Da Vinci is pretty good.
It's like all of we're just at the beginning of that, right? Now was like let's figure out 5G really, because what we have right now is pretty spotty still.
Yeah.
But once this is figured out, it will do so much more for us. Like I said, like surgeons will go away. You can actually have the robot like a real-time 3D scan of someone's like brain And even if that person would move, it would just pivot with it. Like there would be no,
That's true.
no accidents anymore
Mm-hmm.
in most cases, right? At the same time, for example, self-driving cars.
Mm-hmm.
It's a robot, right?
Yeah.
So at some point, it's going to be a robot. It's still going to look like a car, or at least something like that. But what will happen is this. Right now, we have the self-driving cars, the Teslas and whatever, but they're single cars on the road, meaning they have all those sensors and all that kind of stuff.
That's true.
It's good, and it's getting better by the minute, but it's still just one car, right? Or maybe like 5, or like, depending on where you are. If you're somewhere in the Bay Area in California, there's a lot of Teslas riding around already, but it's still not enough to have like the swarm intelligence, right?
That's true.
So let 5G or 6G, 7G, whatever we come up with work properly, and then have like almost all the cars being like that, and then the cars start talking to each other. Like now you have like
machine learning.
It's machine learning, but also like just like communicating with each other, because let's say you have a house right on the corner, and there's 2 cars coming, and today one is a self-driving car, the other one is a drunk person or whatever, a sober person. It doesn't matter. In a normal car, that would maybe lead to a hit.
Yeah.
But now those 2 cars being like in a swarm intelligence setup, like where they communicate with each other, that car would know about that car, and that car would know about that car, and they would probably go full speed, but just not hit each other anymore.
Yeah.
So I think we will get rid of a lot of like death in traffic, like that, like overall. All the jobs nowadays, mining and all that kind of stuff, where it's dangerous for people. We're not going to have any losses there anymore, because we're going to send robots down there. They already like introduced some mining robots, like humanoid mining robots, that can do the job probably way better. They don't get fatigued or anything. You just have to like maintain them, and that's it. And at some point that will also, like, the moment we figure out like hands, right, on a robot, like real hands, stuff will get better, because suddenly you can produce way faster, way more precise.
That's true.
Everything, whereas like hand movement is involved, right?
Because then you can time things.
What's that?
You can time it. So if it requires hands,
exactly,
and then there's a chopping or moving, well, you can time it so that never happens.
Right. The thing is also that the whole deal was like media into, like, we have pro AI right now already, that you tell it some words and it paints something for you.
Yeah.
Like I've seen that the other day. It's like, it looked amazing. It's like, okay. So like even creatives will be automated, kind of, not totally though.
No,
I think
you can't.
there's like, I think at some point this will be so valuable if a human still sits down and paints something, that there's a need for that too.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. It's like for the midterm future, probably like until we retire, right? If we retire, I don't want to retire, but that age, it's going to be total automation, and the only thing that really is still needed or the only people that are still needed to work are creatives and people that automate stuff even further. So engineering, but even that, like software engineers, I think will go away. It's
change.
like high level engineers, like they that see the perspective from above, and they make sure, okay, work on that. Software will write itself, like 100%. I'm 100%.
The one thing I don't think you're accounting for is inspiration. So a machine only pulls from what it's been programmed for, right? But the human brain,
for now, that's the thing. What has been programmed, but was machine learning and all that kind of stuff. But what I'm saying, inspiration, we will not go away as the human race, right?
Yeah.
We just have to adapt to this new challenge, right? And then we will still be the inspiration.
Yeah.
I mean, in an ideal world, AI is not going to go absolutely rogue, because then we're going to have a problem, because we're competing for energy, right? So, but ideally, we will still be the inspiration and say, hey, here's a problem that I have. Solve it for me. That's the inspiration. And then AI will figure this out for us. And then there's like, other aspects where, like nursing, for example. I don't think a robot can do that.
No. We call those soft skills.
Soft skills, right?
Soft skills cannot be duplicated.
Right. So at least, I don't see it. You can't do that. Everything else.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be a great world because there's a lot less competition. People are going to stop competing in the workplace. And we have to think about, an alternative way of like, paying for stuff. It's like if you don't work anymore, where's the money coming from, right? I'm a huge capitalist, but I also know that at some point we will not have enough jobs anymore. But maybe this problem will solve itself because low birth rates. So I don't know. It's like I don't have a solution for that.
Yeah, me
But
either.
I would be filthy rich if I would have a solution for that.
I think there's so much. There's infinite amount of questions, right? But if we can just solve the problems that are right around here, I think we can create a massive amount of good.
Yeah,
and then eventually you solve bigger and bigger problems.
Exactly, but
and that's where you have to go.
That's exactly. It's like, okay, specialize for something, and then solve those problems, and then specialize on something else, and then it's
because in my professional industry, automation is happening, right? You have, someone doesn't need to go to an agent; they can go online and buy something.
Exactly.
But that interpretation of how things would be more efficient to do, as long as you have the software and you can interpret how that software works, then you have value. But if you're just going to be there an order taker, someone comes in or they call in,
right?
Well, I need this. Well, hold on, I'm the specialist. So tell me what you're experiencing, and then I can interpret it and form
exactly.
That's solution.
Coming back to what was said earlier. It's like a lot of people don't even know they have a problem. It's like, and it's in the financial world probably the same, but also in other industries, right? If you come to me or someone comes to you and says, well, not even here's my problem, but it's like, here's my life. Here's what I want, right? Here's the perfect outcome for me, right? Then you can connect the dots and say, okay, I think this solution is, what do you think about that?
Yeah.
That will get rid of this problem that you didn't even know that is a problem. But it will be a problem in 2 years from now because we just, read the new law on XYZ, right? So this is going to be a problem in 2 years from now. What are you going to do about this? Did you know about this? Stuff like that. Rather than online, I get you through a funnel, click, 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 click. Like, tell me about yourself. Click, 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 click. The computer doesn't know that, who you are and what, the rest of your life looks like. So therefore, you're not going to get the perfect solution from that.
That's right.
You're going to get a solution, but not your solution. And that's something where, consultants are very important, it doesn't matter, like for privateers or for businesses, it's, knowledge has never been, like easier to gain as today, but also at the same time, there's no guidance to that.
Yeah.
There's like, okay, here's all the knowledge. What are you going to do with this? Right. And then there's a lot of opinions that float around that if you are getting unlucky, basically, and you get into a rabbit hole of someone that is good with words, but has a weird opinion that will hurt you, then you have a problem.
Yeah. I look at it as basically, let's see what we have here. Someone has an issue, but you have to have a conversation to figure out what that is. And so the nice thing is the company I work with or contract with, they have some software that can predict, obviously, the glaring red flags, but also what are some things that could be issues for you? If you're a business owner, but you're driving around with a vehicle that has low coverage, right? Covers levels as far as the dollar amount. Well, you get into an accident and now you have a problem because you hit someone's Lincoln MKZ or Porsche or whatever, and your coverage is not sufficient. So now they're going to sue you.
Right.
Well, software, the call center can't predict that. But someone that interprets all these things, and they're looking at what are the risk factors for you. And that's where it comes into, you got to really be a master at your craft.
Right.
I'm looking at what's a risk factor for this person. How can I, down the line, predict what's going to be a problem?
Yeah.
And bringing that to the forefront is going to be valuable.
Yeah.
It's going to be hugely valuable.
Absolutely. So that being said,
Mm-hmm.
If anyone wants to reach out to you, like where do people find you? Like no matter what it is, you need X, Mike is your guy. But also like, you're in the financial space, you're a financial advisor. I'm on Facebook. So Michael Looby, Michael, and then Looby like Scooby. Okay.
And on Instagram, it's the Michael Looby. And I believe TikTok is the same.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm on LinkedIn as well.
All right. Also, that being said, if you want to watch his transformation journey there,
yes,
from being very, very big to not so big anymore, then Instagram is also the place to go.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Mike, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
That was like a long time in the making, and I wish you all the best. And
sure.
I mean, you're neighbors anyways. So.
That's right. Hopefully you'll have me back, right?
I will have you back. Absolutely.
Awesome.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.